This paper is on reciprocals in Chokri and Nzonkhwe. Nzonkhwe is a language spoken in the Rengma area of the Naga Hills, the upper, or it's called the southern Rengma. A case of the VA-VO distinction, and my co-authors are Bekruzo Keho from the Department of Linguistics, Nagaland University, and Kebitsowono Kruse, Department of Tenide, Nagaland University. Now, the paper has been organized in the following manner. First, we have the introduction to the languages. Then secondly, the reciprocals in Chokri and Nzonkhwe. Thirdly, the description of what is called the VA-VO distinction in Tenide. Then verbal, reciprocal and monotransitive verbs in Chokri and Nzonkhwe. Verbal, reciprocal and ditransitive verbs in Chokri and Nzonkhwe. And finally, we have the conclusion. To start off with, let me give a brief introduction to the two languages under study. Chokri and Nzonkhwe belong to the Tibeto-Burman language family under the Naga group. Chokri belongs to the Chakasang group of languages and is spoken in the Phek district of southern Nagaland. So you will find the Phek district which has been highlighted in orange over there. Nzonkhwe belongs to the Rengma group of languages and is spoken in Zemenu district. That has been highlighted in purple right at the top. Now, Zemenu district, it was declared the 13th district of Nagaland just 3 days back. That is on the 19th of December. Earlier, it was under Kohima district. And as illustrated in the map, the Chakasang group is bordered by the Pochuri group to the east and the Angami group to the west. The north is bordered by Zunheboto, where Sumi is spoken. To the south, we have Manipur. The Chakasang group, it consists of three languages, namely Chokri, Kujale or Keja, and Paula. The Chokri area, as I said earlier, is in orange, and the Keja area, sorry, this has not been highlighted. Yeah, so the so the color distinction has not been shown in the map. But as you can see, the Chokri area is the one that is written down as Phek. The Rengma group in purple is bordered by Zunheboto to the east, Assam in the west, and the Angami group in the south. The north is bordered by Wokha district, where Lotha is spoken. Again, the Rengma group consists of two languages, which are Nzonkhwe, which covers the southern area, the southern Rengma, and the northwest Rengma. And the other language spoken in the Rengma area is the Imtheni, that is and it is spoken in the northern and the northeast Rengma hills. Okay, now this figure, it shows the classification of the Tenime group, or what is popularly known as the Angami Pochuri group, or as classified by Marison 1967, the Angami Zeme group. So both these group of languages, the Chokri and the Nzonkhwe, they belong to the Tenime group, and based on common ancestry and culture, the Tenime group is comprised of the Ziliang group in Peren district, the Angami group in Dimapur and Kohima districts, the Rengma group in the Zemenu district, the Chakasang group and the Pochuri group in Phek district. All these groups are situated in the southern part of Nagaland. The Teneme group also includes the Maukumai Maram group in Senapati and the Tamenglong district in Manipur. The classification of the Teneme group, as mentioned earlier, is based on common ancestry and culture. And apart from vocabulary or lexical similarity, research is being conducted to ascertain the linguistic affinity of this grouping, and this paper is a step towards the goal of searching for morphosyntactic common features among the languages. So coming to reciprocals in Chokri. Chokri exhibits a nominal reciprocal as well as a verbal reciprocal, and the nominal reciprocal, as found in the example 1, is the reduplicated form hu, which means some, and the verbal reciprocal is ke, as illustrated in example 2, which is prefixed to the verb ngo. Then we have the verbal reciprocal, and yes, so we have the nominal reciprocal hu and the verbal reciprocal ke. Now the third example, where you have both the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal ke occurring together in the sentence, now that has been marked as ungrammatical, and we will be coming to this ungrammaticality in a few moments' time. Next, we have the reciprocals in Nzonkhwe. So similar to Chokri, Nzonkhwe exhibits a nominal reciprocal as well as a verbal reciprocal. The nominal reciprocal is ki nungu, as illustrated in sentence 4, and the verbal reciprocal is ke, which is similar to Chokri and is prefixed to the verb as illustrated in sentence 5. The verb who, saw, which occurs with it, carries the high tone, and so also if you notice in the Chokri example, the verb saw, it carries the extra high tone in 1, whereas in 2 it carries the low tone ngo. And in 4 and 5 for Nzonkhwe 2, notice that there is a tonal difference. And so the ungrammaticality of sentence 6 too will be discussed later. And the phenomenon of tonal change on the verb in Chokri and Nzonkhwe is akin to the VA-VO distinction found in Tenidie or Angami. So now we will go to the description of the VA and VO verbs in Tenidie or Angami. So as found in Kevichasa 2007, the VA-VO distinction is a phenomenon found in Tenidie or Angami, where a set of monosyllabic, monotransitive verbs behave differently in terms of grammatical tone and morphosyntactic construct. The VA verb bears a high tone and permits its object to be dropped, whereas the VO verb bears a low tone and does not permit its object to be dropped. The semantics of the two types of verb remains unchanged, and now to further the description of the VA-VO verbs, one needs to first briefly discuss the personal pronouns of the language. In this table, note that it is only the third person pronoun that is homophonous for the subject position and the object positions. In the second person, the pronoun in the subject position is no, contrasting with whom in the object positions. The first person is interesting as it is the tone alone which differentiates the subject position from the non-subject positions. In the subject position, the pronoun carries a high tone, whereas in the other position, it carries a low tone. The sentences in this slide illustrate the VA-VO distinction as found in Tenide. If we examine sentences 9 and 10, we notice that the high tone that marks the subject NP or the A NP, are and no, 9 and 10, also marks, so the high tone that marks the subject NP also marks the verb, that is the VA verb. And in sentences 7 and 8, the low tone that marks the ONP, whom, and are also marks the verb, that is the VO verb. Now if we look at sentences 9b and 10b, we find that the occurrence of the ONP with the VA verbs is optional. So the object can be dropped. The occurrence of the ONP with the VO verbs is, however, obligatory and cannot be dropped, as the ungrammaticality of sentences 7b and 8b illustrate. So in 8b, you will find that the subject cannot be dropped, so also in 7b. When we try to locate the VA-VO distinction in Chokri and Nzonkhwe, by examining the sentences as found in Tenide, it is observed that Chokri and Nzonkhwe do not exhibit this phenomenon. And so the examples 11 to 14 are examples from Chokri, where there is no tonal change, even though there is a difference in the person. So also in Nzonkhwe, we do not find a tonal change in the verb, even though the object is different. Now moving on to the other slide, so we find that, so this is 19 and 20, so verbal reciprocals and the monotransitive verb. Now, so coming back to the sentences which was introduced earlier, where the reciprocal construction was introduced, the sentences are reproduced here, 19 to 21, and for Nzonkhwe we have 22 to 24. As mentioned earlier, sentence 19 in Chokri illustrates the reduplicated nominal reciprocal hu, the verb no with the extra high tone saw, which occurs with it, carries the extra high tone. In contrast, in sentence 21, when the verbal reciprocal ke occurs, the tone of the verb changes to the low tone no. In Nzonkhwe 2, it is observed that the verb hu, which bears the high tone, occurs with the nominal reciprocal kimumu. Similar to Chokri, when the verbal reciprocal ke occurs, the tone of the verb changes to the low tone hu, as found in sentence 23. The ungrammaticality of sentences 21 and 24 illustrates that the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal cannot co-occur in a sentence. The reason why the nominal reciprocal and the verbal reciprocal do not co-occur is attributed to the fact that the verbal reciprocal functions as a detransitivizer. This phenomenon is observed in Tenide 2, as given in Kebichusa 2007. The detransitivizing effect of the verbal anaphor is also discussed in Subarao 2012. wherein he takes examples from Mizo, Mar, Khasi, Telugu, and examines the valency decreasing operations of the verbal anaphor. In these cases, the verbal anaphor is the verbal reflexive. For a similar phenomenon, Subbarao also cites the work of Haspelmath and Kazanin, Pinot for Russian and Polish, Dixon for Dirbal, Amritavali for Kannada. The claim being made here is that the tonal difference we find in the verb mo and who in Chokri and Nzonkhwe in the presence of reciprocals is similar to the VA-VO distinction found in Tenidie. The nominal reciprocal occurs with the VA form mo with the extra high tone in Chokri and who with the high tone in Nzonkhwe, whereas the verbal reciprocal ke occurs with the VO form mo with the low tone in Chokri and who with the low tone in Nzonkhwe. The nature of the VO verb is that it does not permit its object to be dropped, whereas the VA verb does. Given a choice between the two forms, the verbal reciprocal ke, due to its valency decreasing property, chooses the form that does not permit object drop. Hence, because the verb has been detransitivized, the nominal reciprocal taking the functional role as object cannot occur as an instance of argument suppression. Sentences 25 and 26 deserve a special mention as the tone of the predicate.
Ma'am, please wrap up. We are not left with any more time, so they are just
okay.
For discussion.
All right.
Please.
Okay. So let me just go to the ditransitive constructions. So the ditransitive constructions in Tenidie is as found in Chokri and Nzonkhwe too, it has a bipartite structure. And the verbal reciprocal marker, it occurs with the second part, that is what has been termed as the dative verb. So to wrap up, to conclude now at the outset, Chokri and Nzonkhwe do not appear to exhibit the VA-VO distinction as found in Tenidie. However, upon a further probe into the area of reciprocals, there is reason to believe that this phenomenon is present in the languages under study, though to a lesser degree than in Tenidie. So to conclude, the question at hand and an area for further research is whether the VA-VO distinction was present in an earlier form in Chokri and Nzonkhwe and is disappearing in the language with the remnant of it being exhibited in the presence of reciprocity, or whether the languages under study never had it and it developed through borrowing from Tenidie or Angami. We are welcome to any observations, comments, or suggestions with regard to this point. Thank you.